to felicitate Sir with memento as a token of our gratitude. We would request you to please resume your seat. We request the audience and the dignitaries to please bear with us while we set the stage for the next panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
We now begin with the first panel discussion of today. In the new world of prepaid, stored value debit cards come to life on mobile wallets, offering a range of alternative banking solutions along with telecom services. In this new ecosystem, telecom service providers play the role of banks and telecom operators are the new bank accounts. With technology turning phone into payment devices, a new opportunity has opened for mobile carriers to allow people to charge for all kinds of goods and services directly to their phone bills. Prepaid wireless providers have found the earliest success in offering mobile wallets that enable a mixture of payments, alternative financial services, and money management for the underbanked population. Great opportunities lie ahead for operators due to the ability of mobile devices to provide services anytime and anywhere, resulting in a high rate of penetration and potential to grow. In this spirit, we introduce the topic of the first panel discussion of today, Expounding Mobile Financial Services, Last Mile Offerings to Procreate a Cashless Economy.
To control and channelize the flow of the panel discussion, we have with us the moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Vikas Sharma, Country Director at Neo Mobile. Sir, may you please come on stage? Sir has 18 years of experience in the telecom, media, and IT organizations with competencies in pre-sales, consulting, VAS, product, and business management. Sir has worked for multiple organizations in marketing, strategy, and product management and has been engaged in various assignments with external consultancy firms. Presently, Sir is working at Neo Mobile Group as a country director. Sir manages P&L for VAS services and e-commerce business, the complete business and sales operations in India. Sir also drives the sales of entertainment and commerce services in D2C model through mobile carriers and merchants. Sir's speciality lies in procuring content, apps, and media inventory from various partners for Indian and global needs. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. Our next esteemed panelist is Mr. Shyamal Mitra, Vice President, Ericsson. Sir has a rich experience of 18 plus years in the IT and telecom services industry. Sir leads IT and business engagements for Ericsson's transformation projects. Sir has handled multiple large program deliveries across multiple locations, along with handling a line of business with P&L responsibility. Sir has extensively worked in account management, sales support, and service offerings. He holds speciality in telecom consultancy, product management, software development, and system integration. Sir is a part of TRAI Task Force for Rural Connectivity and Inclusive Program. Sir is a part of TM Forum Advisory Board. Sir has also worked for major IT and telecom companies globally on management roles. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. L.V. Shastri, National Business Head, Mobile Banking and Mobile Commerce at Aircel. Sir has over 25 years of experience in telecom, IT, and IT services industries, holding several key leadership, CXO, and managerial roles. Sir is the Principal Officer and Profit Center Head for Mobile Banking and Mobile Commerce business, driving revenue market growth and customer acquisitions. Prior to joining Aircel, Sir has also worked as the National Business Head of Sales and Operations at Bharti Airtel Limited. Sir has also served as the Business Group Director of Xerox Global Services Business Group. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Probir Roy, Director at Coruscant Tech and Paymate. Sir is the co-founder and director of Paymate, one of the early mover companies in mobile-based financial services like mobile banking, mobile wallet, mobile point of sale, money transfer, and enterprise e-payment platforms. Sir's company has the slogan Made in India, since all solutions are homegrown. Previous to that, Sir co-founded Coruscant Tech, a mobile VAS company acquired by a media company. Additionally, Sir is also a director at Plexus Technologies, which was acquired by an infotech company. Sir has served in senior and leadership positions in the BARC, News Corp, and the French media Avas Group, before turning to an entrepreneur. So, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Shekhar Rao, founder and CEO, Juno Tele. Having completed his bachelor's from IIM Bangalore, Sir has tremendous focus on innovation and growth. Sir has handled more than 500 telecom operators from all corners of the world in a career spanning more than a decade. Sir has a long-term vision to eliminate poverty by leveraging technology to provide basic financial resources to every individual. He believes his company's technology can help do that. Sir has also been a speaker and panelist at several international conferences. He recently chaired the entire first day session at the Monesting OTT conference organized by Telecoms IQPC at London, UK. Previous to his current role, Sir was the COO of MAC, where, as a part of the global management team, he provided valuable contribution to the overall direction of MAC. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. Moving on, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Suhas Seth, Deputy General Manager at Reliance Jio. Sir is a senior telecom and IT practitioner with 17 years of extensive experience on various wireless and wireline technologies across various domains like subscriber data management, SDP, complex connectivity products, cloud service enablement, M2M, unified communications, VAS, next-generation IN systems, policy and charging, innovative roaming solutions, OSS/BSS systems, and payment gateways. Besides providing thought leadership armed with technology insights, Sir also loves to take fresh concepts to success by clear vision, road mapping, planning, delivering, and finally making sure that it works like a charm for customer. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to call upon stage our final panelist, Mr. Aditya Kapoor, Senior Manager at Paytm. Sir handles the education vertical at Paytm, India's largest mobile payments company. With education market size of nearly $110 billion in India, payments business opportunities are tremendous. Being an entrepreneur himself, Sir has co-founded Edutizers, where Sir scaled up a profitable model to reduce fee burden in schools by providing them an additional revenue line through closed-door advertising. In the past, Sir has worked extensively on big data for companies like American Express and EXL. Sir has also worked briefly as an assistant director with the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry with their international division. Sir is a gold medalist from University of Delhi wherein Sir completed both his master's and bachelor's in business economics. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. I would now request the moderator, Mr. Vikas Sharma, to kindly initiate the discussion.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad that we've got a good time right before the lunch, so I'm not going to wait you long. But what I would spend time and correlate few things that we just heard Shamal talk about as a mobile financial services and how the common words that we hear on a daily basis, prepaid cards and wallets, make good sense to all of us to help you understand how and why companies are doing these. Why so much of talks are being heard or spoken about in media about different forms of transactions and payment mechanisms attached to it. So we started historically from barter systems, moved towards actual cash, currency, and now we are looking at other forms of transactions, virtual. That does not imply the cash is king or not king, it's you to decide. What's more important is, whichever form of transactions happen, they're happening in a secure manner, and technology is really adding value, reducing challenges of our everyday life for all of us. So in today's discussions, what we're going to have is few minutes point of views from each of the panel team members, and at the end of hearing from all of them, we would try to ensure that few questions that we have in common are answered, and additional questions that you would like to ask, feel free to do so after that. With first point of view, I just want to highlight that we've got panelists from telecom operations, we've got panelists from equipment manufacturers, and we've got panelists who bring their skill set from value-added services functions, mobile commerce domain. So you would have a fair good ideas from all the team members and their perspectives about what's happening and why are they feeling that we are in the right direction. Starting with, I would request Shekhar Rao from Juno Tel to please give his views. Shekhar.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really tough to kind of hold them for lunch and give them the gyan on this. Just to kind of on this topic, I just wanted to raise a few pointers. Expounding the financial services. Is there really a expounding level, or just a kind of a small fraction of an opportunity out here? Let's see what we have. If you've seen the Ericsson's presentation between the banked, underbanked, and unbanked, I think the immediate the benefit and to bring around the expounding is on the underbanked. Underbanked are the one who have financial resources, but they are not using the traditional financial systems along with that. And then in Indian context, if you go down a little bit more on that, there are a few kind of numbers that we need to check. I'm sure most of you would have been really come across this. The credit card penetrations of in India is hardly about 11-12% of this, and debit card transaction actively is about 6% of the population. So we have very small segment on the financial services that's been really kind of used, and out of that, a small fraction has been brought onto the mobile. We still are kind of on the traditional banking divisions along with that. There's another perspective I just want to throw out here, about the being mobile, internet, and the Indian context. The English-speaking population in India, any guesses? How much is it? English-speaking population in India. It's about, you can look at the IRS survey, the readership survey. It's 12%. Okay, 12%, and that it was about 9% few years back. When we read, it's about 12% now. That means the entire mobile internet, if you're kind of accessing it or you're leading to a financial services, it's just kind of limited to these very small. The rest of the thing, it doesn't mean illiterate. They are literate, but they're literate in the local language. Okay, so the services, the mobile financial services, it need to reach out to this large segment. It has to be in the framework, keeping these data points in view along with that. So I have two views on which this disruption or the expansion of this mobile financial services can happen. If you look at globally, one is on where you have efficiencies to be really kind of a bring in. If you look at Uber, when Uber started off, somebody said that the entire Californian business was about $300 million or $400 million. And this is already an existing market. How much you will be ever able to make out of that? In fact, in California alone, today they said that they do about $400 million worth of a business on that. So the key point there is the inefficiencies in the system. The transportation, the London black cabs are a classic example where the costs have gone up so much, the corresponding value to the customers have not gone up proportionately. Now, this is where the disruption has really come in. Wherever the inefficiencies, not necessarily inefficiencies, or the complete efficiency has not been achieved. The another example is the sharing of BNB, Airbnb guys. There was a kind of an asset which has not been utilized. They brought the asset utilizations along with that. So if these things have been clicked, even in the financial services, it's a lot of disruptions are possible because the cost of transactions are very high. There are unnecessary intermediaries who are not adding any value. Or at one point of time, they were adding value. Okay. But right now, as a customer, merchants see that they're not adding a great value to the charges what they've been given. So there's a disruption that's been possible there. In our country's context, there is another possibility where large section of population can be bring into the financial transactions. So that's the underbanked and the people who are on a remote place and where the efficiencies can be improved. Just to give an example, if somebody on a Pune outskirts, if you want to make a payment for about 300 rupees cash, the cost of the transaction is about 10%. Almost 30 rupees he spent in terms of his time, transportation, and all put together. This is the one which is ready for disruption, where sitting at home, he will be able to transfer the small amounts of money along with that. So I just want to kind of leave you with these thoughts, and then as we go along, we'll discuss in detail. Thanks.
Perfectly fine. Thanks, Shekhar. I would request LV Shastri from Aircel to kindly share his views.
Yeah, so I think the areas which I probably thought, I mean, a lot has been spoken and very well articulated by Shamal in his presentation about mobile wallets and mobile money and things like that. So I think without the sake of repetition, what we are looking at is that the future innovation and disruptions are going to happen in the customer experience of the areas of billing and security and related around that. So I'll give you an example. I don't know how many of you have heard of a company called Square. It's a US Silicon Valley again based company which is doing some really innovative work. They have just launched a product which is called geo-tagged payments. So what it happens is that today when you walk into a Starbucks or a McDonald's or any of your favorite restaurants, you invariably have a queue and then you have a whole process of payments. So using the Square, which is getting implemented, a the moment you enter that coffee shop, the tellers, the billing tellers will recognize that you have walked in and the tab will get opened up. So the checkout clerk already knows that you are there. Your picture comes up and he responds by whatever you want him. And when you have to check out, there is no credit card getting exchanged. You have opened a tab and you're just walking out. So you pick up your coffee and walk out, and the whole wallet transaction has happened. So this is where the disruption is going to happen in terms of how streamlined these payments get in the future. Obviously, machine-to-machine payments will be one important one. Automatic meter reading has already been implemented in India. But tomorrow, these could get connected to your billing or your payment mechanism, something like your mobile wallet, and then you would see automatically utility bills getting paid from your wallet. So my point of view is that there is this whole area where innovations is going to disrupt the way the traditional banks and financial institutions have worked. Cryptocurrency is one of the elements where I believe there will be a lot of innovation. Currently, the financial and regulatory bodies have not yet been able to come to grasp of these new, fintech revolutions which are happening. And I think that will be another interesting area for us to really keep a close watch on. But out of the 6 core functions which a financial institution is supposed to play, payments being the first of them, you would see most of the revolution happening there. And fortunately, I think the government is going on the right track. they have mandated, or they have got a mandate now to ensure that everyone above 18 has a bank account. And most of the next generation would not have seen a traditional bank as a bank account. It will be very similar to people like us who have never seen a fixed line phone in our lives. Most of us went from unconnected to a straightaway cellular mobile phone. In the same way, you will have generations of people who would not have seen the services of a traditional bank, which we people have gone through. They would have straight away gone into a payment kind of a bank or a mobile company acting as a bank. So that's what I would like to share at this moment here.
Mr. Shastri, one quick question to you. Coming from a telco, would a telco like to become a bank of tomorrow?
I think at this moment, if you ask me, telcos are understanding what the current whole landscape is panning out to be. So if telcos today see it as a ring fencing their customers at the moment, it's been well written, articulated, there is no money to be made in payment banks. At the moment, the way the regulation is, I don't think so any telco is even predicting that they'll make money even in the 8th or 9th year of operations. So it is not about additional income or additional profits. The telcos would be interested because it's the same customer. How do I ring fence my customer from moving away from my brand into another brand because there is some additional service offerings being made? But I think eventually on the long run, when the deregulation further happens, when the payment bank currently, let's say for important element, most of the money in a banking institution is made out of credit products, loans and credit cards and housing loans. These are the areas where banks make money. This is where their income is coming. A payment bank today is not allowed to offer credit products. That moment when the deregulation happens, you'll find payment banks also start making money. So that is what is the hope, that the telcos would be able to further push the government to deregulate that part, and then it will start making business sense for us.
Fair enough. Thanks very much. We would go from another view of telco from Suhas. If you could share your views about how Reliance Jio is working towards it, and how you as an individual see all of us, the improvements that are going to happen in the financial institute from a mobility perspective.
Sure. I would first like to talk about the transformation, why this is required for mobile wallet. If we go back to our early days, I think all of you are students and many of them are professors. So if you go back to your old days, probably 6 years, 7 years back, there were SMS, and SMS was one of the biggest revenue driver in telecom companies. We have never thought that SMS will go away from the business, and eventually it will be taken over by a few applications. Though the SMS has not gone over, but the mode of communication has gone over. It has taken over by digital data, and the way of communication of SMS is now absolute. It is just used for few OTPs and few, kind of bulk SMS, etc. Now, similarly, if you see the barter system which was there in our erstwhile days, from their barter system we have evolved over to banking system. Over the banking system, then later on we have gone on to credit cards to the e-commerce, and e-commerce to mobile wallet. If you see, the transformation has happened, and every time there were repercussions, there were pluses and there were minuses. But now this is a time for mobile wallet, and mobile wallet is going to take over by each of the industry, and each and every person who is right now carrying his wallet or her wallet will be replaced by mobile wallet. There are various technology working towards it. Like Mr. Shastri just said, that technology is called near field sensor technology, near field communication. So the moment you enter into some sort of sensor nearby to that particular equipment, and your wallet is getting synced with that particular technology, it will immediately say that, okay, here you can use your wallet and you want to do some transactions. So that sort of things are already in the market, and it will allow you to do further penetration. About Reliance Jio, though the company has not launched yet, so I would not like to reveal more details of Reliance Jio. But yes, Reliance Jio is very close to the launch, as well as we are also going to come in Jio Money as one of the prominent player in this particular arena. Also, what I found, I was just doing some research and I was reading about it that there is a company in this particular arena of payment transactions, a wallet, particularly a traditional wallet company. I would not like to name that company, has even crossed the number of transactions what IRCTC is doing. I'm sure all of you are aware about IRCTC, and IRCTC is the number one Indian company who is doing Indian transactions, who is actually taking money and giving you product. And people are going repeatedly on that particular site and they are buying tickets, as well as now they have started selling few more products. So even the mobile wallet company who are not very much, open to the urban places and the rural places, I mean B-class urban places and rural places, they have crossed the transaction what IRCTC is doing. So time has come that mobile wallet and mobile finance is going to be there on the top. And yes, about that industry is going to make money or not, the time will say, because there are some 12, 13 more licenses already issued by the authority, and they have also started pulling their socks to come into the market. I think that's it from my side, views of mine.
Thanks, Suman. I would request Shamal, who shared his views earlier as well prior to this panel, to highlight some of the key aspects of security along with his other views that he will share.
Sure. Okay. This works. A few things that I wanted to talk about earlier as well. But essentially, how many of you have worked in the financial services industry before you came here? Just a show of hands. Okay, not very many. It's a funny industry. If you put in money, if you put in a deposit in the bank classifies it as a liability. If you take a loan from a bank, the bank classifies it as asset. So this is something that is very different from what normal intuition tells you. And a lot of this transactions, issues, the processes in the banks or in the financial sector largely drives from this kind of behavior. We talked about a lot of issues around, is there money to be made, what kind of percentages. I think 12% of people in India is what one my esteemed co-panelist said is well versed in English. But 12% of 1.3 billion is 150 million. What is 150 million? That's more than half of the population of United States. That's almost 70% the population of Europe. And this is just half of the middle class that exists in India. So when we talk percentages over a billion, the numbers start skewing big time. So even if it is only 10% that is available for us to address as a market, the market is huge. And today we have just not even scratched the surface. If you look at the security aspects of it, and that is where I wanted to talk about things, the issues that we face in security, how many of you are aware of the hacks that happen on the networks? When we talk about networks, we are talking about intrusion detection, we are talking about intrusion prevention as well. A lot of it is done at the network level itself, but even then you have hacks coming in, whether it's the most famous hack that happened in Europe the other day. I'm not talking really of the Ashley Madison case, but essentially if you look at, well, that is something that happened as well. But if you look at the hack that happened for Columbia Pictures in Sony, and they had to actually postpone the release as well. If you look at the hacks that have happened in Target, in hacks that have happened in Bank of America, those are hacks which actually seriously put at risk the adoption levels for mobile financial services. Not just mobile, but essentially any type of digitized financial services. And we will, as a entity, will have to do a lot more effort in terms of making sure networks are safe and making sure that hacks are preventable, or at least detectable as soon as they happen, and therefore you can take some corrective actions around those. So as part of, I would say, the industry as a whole, and TM Forum is actually investing a lot of, I would say, R&D bandwidth into it. There is a forum that looks at it in terms of security for financial services networks. And there is a lot of things that are happening around those. Some are in the public domain, some are still not in the public domain. But if there are people who are interested in looking or knowing more about security that impacts the networks, or security that is happening at a network level, there are, I would say, enough and more literature that is available online as well. You just have to go ahead and look at those. Not much from an R&D perspective is happening in India, though. That's a I would say, shame. We probably need to do a lot more, given that our mobile penetration is so high. But it's something that we collectively need to do a lot more. There is a business case that is justified to have a lot of impacts around do we need to look at the next generation of, I would say, the security tokens that are currently existing in terms of message transactions that happen across networks. So I'd not go much deep into it, but there is a whole amount of research that is happening. And some part of it is happening in India, but that's not really happening because there is a concerted effort by Indian ecosystem to make that happen. It just so happens that the R&D centers of those companies are based out of India, Bangalore, Chennai, and Gurgaon. So there is talent. And for those of you who would like to invest more, know more, go to the TM Forum and you'll find a lot of information around that there as well. So that's from me.
Thanks very much, Shamul. There's an important view that I want to share here before I move to the team's members on the panel who really go from a consumer perspective. What's important is the user's convenience and the issues that a user gets to see, how can those be resolved through alternate means? That is the driving force for every business. Here, I want to highlight that security, restrictions, multi-level process approvals impact a customer's experience. And that's something which is very critical for all of us to understand. With that, I would go and ask Aditya, what's your view on the task that your company is working on? And as a market, how will it change and develop? Go for it.
I think at the very outset, I will take that liberty of taking extra minute to thank everyone, each one of you at SITM, who actually hosted us as a panel here. And I'm really privileged to be sitting amongst the market leaders and the veterans here, Mr. Mitra and Mr. Your good name? LV Sastry, Mr. Sastry. So we have an esteemed panel here. And I was just looking at this topic, unfolding opportunities. So this is an opportunity for me because I am almost half their age sitting here. This is an opportunity which a Indian startup like a Paytm can give you to share the dice with all of them. So coming to our discussion here, I would want to give you 5 data points for each one of you to think first of all. I take it that we'll take it forward together under your wisdom. So 5 data points I want to share first of all. First thing, the number of debit card issued in India. Anyone? It's 350 million. Number of credit cards in India, 19 million. Number of customers for SBI, State Bank of India, largest customer bank, public sector, is what? 23, 24 million. And the number of wallet users, now we come to wallets, it's 125 million. So I think, like, if you just compare banking and then the official mode of financial payments, which is happening through bank and everything. So it's like we have reached to a 125 million in last 5 years. We have reached to 25 million in last 50 years. So I think that is how the change is there, change is coming. And I would like to just give you a very specific perspective about how the change has been moving from a payment gateway side. Payment gateway for everyone, it's an online transaction which everyone does. Like whenever you go on any website, there is a payment gateway which is there, which takes the transaction through. So the payment gateway is now moving to or giving space to wallet. But why has this been happening for last 3 years? So what essential difference is between a payment gateway and a wallet, and what was the need of having a wallet in place of a payment gateway? Because online payments were getting through payment gateways as well. So I would just share that thing for food for thought for every one of you. Wallet companies own the customers. A payment gateway company will never own a customer. So that's the only race every company, or rather these 11 payment bank licenses have also come in. Every company every bank has launched a payment gateway. SBI comes up with a buddy, and ICICI comes up with a pocket. Axis comes up with a chiller. So that is how banks are also trying to see an opportunity there. But the opportunity is, as Mr. LV Sastry was trying to ring fence the customers he has. So it's about ring fencing the customers through wallet. So that is the bottom line in this mobile payments company. Something I really want to touch apart from this is domestic remittances. No one is actually focusing much toward domestic remittances. Everyone is more, like banks are more interested in strong international remittances. I take a very small case of a rickshawala out in Pune. He might be there from a small village nearby. He has to take all his savings, 15,000, to his hometown, like taking all the financial risk, whatever he has earned for last 2 months. Or either he has to go through a Hawala channel, which is also like a very costly affair. So if there is a mobile, like if he can just transfer the money to a mobile, and that can be just transferred to any other mobile across India, I think that's the technology we are looking at. That is essentially, when that starts happening, probably I think we have moved to that cashless economy for India. That is the basic theme of the discussion which we are doing right now. Some things more. Yeah, from how payment gateway moved to the wallet, I think there was two inflection points for payment gateways. One in 2003 and 4, when the online travel ticketing processes started, Make My Trip and Yatra Make My Trip happened around that time. Next was 2011-12, when all companies, utility companies, started taking online payments. And now it's a road towards mobile wallets, which I think Mr. Mitra has very beautifully touched upon and laid a very good food for thought for each one of you. Next thing for students, I think I would want to touch here is, there is this huge scope market in big data, which I think you have already discussed yesterday, because every point, even in the mobile wallet, the data is being captured at every point. The consumer insights are being captured at every point. So big data will actually be a very big market for each one of us to see how it actually shapes up. And I would just like conclude by taking a point from Mr. Sastry here. He mentioned a very good anecdote that innovation happens through fear, on the basis of fear, laziness, or greed. I would just add one cent here. Right now, innovation happening in India is probably more due to empowerment. Probably if you take an Ola or a Paytm or like Zomato as well, people are just trying to use mobile plus payments to empower not just the sellers, also the customers. So I think we are actually coming the full circle now on these innovation front. So these are my views. We look forward to your questions.
Thanks, Aditya. I have a question for you. What is the effort the companies who are into wallet business or banks who also wish to put their hand in the wallet business, what are they doing to increase the adoption rate?
Adoption rate is, I think, the most trickiest part for each and every company who is entering into the wallet domain. It's about same thing of ring fencing the customer. So essentially, I'll take an example, two examples here, what ClearTrip or what Book My Show did. ClearTrip didn't charge any convenience fee for first 8 years. So after it was a habit, it started that charging of convenience fee. Similar model which Book My Show operated upon, 1.5 years, they didn't charge a single penny. Now they're charging their customers like 22, 23 rupees per transaction. So first of all, it's about creating that loyal customer base, trying them to use this possible service of a wallet or probably an Uber. Once they have realized that it is convenient, and then they want to just spend something for that, taking that service. That is more important. Creating that need is important because at the outset, there is no need. Systems are functioning well with the cash and currency. So I think creating that need is important. Once that need is there, people will be like, stick to it. Like they stick to Book My Show probably.
Fair enough. One last question for you, and there would be more definitely.
Sure.
From the life of youth, students, how do you see the way they spend their money today? How would they be doing that 5 years from now?
I cannot comment. 5 years is a way too long time. I think at Paytm we work for just like next quarter. So that's even my personal vision is. So probably for this particular campus, we have already spoken with the authorities to create this campus as Pune's first cashless campus. So if things are in place, I think you will be from the next academic year, will be the first cashless campus wherein any student will be just using a mobile phone to do any bit of transaction. You're going to your... yeah, so this is the level of convenience we are trying to give every segment of the society. It's not just students, it's everywhere.
Thanks very much. May I request Mr. Prabir Roy on my right to kindly share his views.
Hi, everybody. I think Aditya has been the disruptor not only in this business of financial services, but also in this panel here today. But having said that, he gave us some statistics, right? How many debit cards are there in the country? He said 350 million, which many of you didn't know actually, which is not a good thing. Then he told you how many credit cards are there, which is about 18 or 19 million. That is not even 10% of that, which is again not a good thing for the country. And then he popped in this number about number of wallets, which he said is 120 odd million. Now the journey that you have seen since independence in 62 odd years, with so many banks, 75 or 85 banks in the country, after 65 years, only 40% of the country was banked. Till June 2014, and Mr. Modi started his Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. And in the last 1 year, 180 million accounts have been created, covering 99% of all households. So isn't that something for us to really think about, that in 62 years we did 40%, and in 18 months you have covered the next 40%, just by one diktat. Not by any institutional mechanism or changes or strategic paradigm shifts or anything like that. Same bunch of guys have gone and created 180 million accounts. Now, obviously, you might argue and you might be reading that maybe they're already people have 5 accounts, so 1 in each bank. Accounts are not active. I think 40 or 50% is only active. The number of the deposit amount is low. Fair enough, but at least that effort has happened in a very short period of time. So again, it's a point of reflection today as we talk about financial services and cashless, is that actually the mechanisms are all there, but the intent and purpose somewhat have fallen behind. And then second level of change has happened in the last year or so, or 2 years. Freecharge and Paytm are the two guys who disrupted the market. And he's calling it the wallet. Now, the wallet is in the back of something which is a much larger revolution which has been happening over the last 15 years, which LV would tell you, is your prepaid calling, your prepaid number, which is 90% of India is prepaid. At any point of time, telcos are sitting on 120,000 crores of your prepaid money. So you take a 49 rupee or 50 bucks or 99 bucks or 149 bucks. That was the original wallet actually, of giving those prepaid values out. What you've done is after giving out those coupons of 50 bucks to your database or universe which you have picked up over the last 10, 15 years, you convert that into wallets. And then you create a semi-closed wallet where you can do many other things than just other than prepaid. So that's what's happening, which has really disrupted everything. And today, as he said, that wallet should be able to be used for not only your calling card, but DTH, your bill payment, your e-commerce, ticket booking, many other things, your canteen, your cafes. I remember we had launched, we had prototyped or piloted something with CCD many years back, a wallet called Coffee Mate. So you top it up with 50 bucks and across the 1,200 stores, you can redeem that with your wallet, with just a PIN number. And then over and above that, if you wanted to also top up your mobile phone, that also you could do. So cash load up points were CCDs, and cash redemption points are also CCDs. It's a great concept, but didn't fly because CCD was struggling with their POS systems and training POS guys to work on the POS, last mile logistics, cash collection, recon, MIS, all that. So that was a bit of a problem. So this went on the back burner. But many years down, I think this is an ideal point, as he said, that you can make this campus cashless. I'm sure you can make large pockets of the country also cashless. So having given those numbers, which you heard Aditya, let me give you some other numbers. Let's not go gung-ho over this cashless thing. Huh? We're very far away from cashless. Japan is 95% cashless. Guess how much percent cashless India is? Huh? Give me a percentage. Yeah, absolutely, around that much. So we are still 88% cash. Some people say 97%. It's 88% or 80% plus 11, 12, 13% checks. And the balance swing value of 5 or 7 or 8% is digital or electronic. So we are a very far cry from cashless. So therefore I always say pockets of India can be cashless, but to India to become totally cashless like Japan or maybe US, which is 50% electronic payment, will take some time. Now having given those figures, I was just wondering, and I think my colleagues on the panel mentioned about some disruptions which are happening. Now 300 million people are into internet. There's a big, I'm sure you have many panelists who come from e-commerce companies talking about the business, $10 billion. But do you know how much of cash, how much of electronic payments is done on e-commerce? Why is it called e-commerce? I don't know. Any ideas? Why are we calling it e-commerce? It should be c-commerce, cash commerce. What is the percentage of cash transactions on all these big marketplaces and portals which you guys go and shop? Any ideas? Perfect. 70%. So e-commerce शब्द कहाँ से आया मेरे को अभी ख्याल नहीं आ रहा है. C-commerce. So India still, even if you have electronic front end with nice GUI, user interface, at the back, you've gone back to the old brick and mortar world of logistics of cash on delivery. And sometimes CBD, cash before delivery. Those are also business models, like Gharpay and all that. So we are not moving, our mindset is not moving. Our shop window is nice. When you get into the shop, you have old school technology and old school methods. That has to change. Somebody again mentioned the Uberization of the sharing economy. Then again, there's a misnomer here. How did Paytm really create that inflection point over and above the fact that they got the initial base out of the top up and recharge? Is they powered Uber. On the other hand, my friend Ola is going to the cash economy. Now they're allowing cash payments. Sorry, Uber is going back to the cash economy and Ola is going to the digital economy. Because they're finding that the fungibility of cash is very important for the customer, that a lot of people are dropping out because they can't pay by cash or they're not comfortable with the wallet. Second point, same cab guys, they're having problems with paying their cab guys because the cab guy payment sometimes comes 15 days, T plus 3, T plus 4. Which for them is not good enough. They want to do the service in the morning and have cash by afternoon. So that's a huge thing. They want to go back to cash in spite of the fact that the cab company has given them a prepaid card or given them a wallet. So there are many forces at work here. Wherever you're digitizing, you want fungibility of cash. You want to do, like you know, if you go to a mall, you have the food hall, you come in, you take a card of $500, you can keep it loaded. When you leave, you can get cash back. So that's fungibility of cash. So you feel comfortable doing that. If you don't want to take the cash out, leave it on the card next visit. But I think in India, a huge mindset is required. I think the wallet guys to some extent might crack it. That I will keep like Swaziland, Tanzania, Kenya, you cash in, and then you remain store of value, and your incentive to cash out is less, because that store of value helps you to do most of your personal finances, buying things, purchasing goods and services, ticketing, etc. So that allows the wallet to be used so that you don't do a cash out. So that's a mindset in some of those countries which has worked out. Swaziland has a cash in, cash out of 4:1. That means 4 people will cash in, but only 1 will cash out. In India, I would suspect that's the reverse. Most people would like to cash out. So the fungibility of cash is very important. Now, the last few points I just want to make is that we are talking about cashless economy and what can make it happen. So one is, how do you make a rapid mass payment system? And my colleague here mentioned that about how many English-speaking people are there, and the numbers between 75 to 120 million. I have a very clunky, old-fashioned phone, which I will show you guys. So there's one is how many English-speaking population is there, and one is how many T9 literate population is there. And that you would find would be fairly vast, maybe 400-500 million. A rapid mass payment system will work only when you can do a financial hygiene transaction on a base level phone, using the base level channel, SMS, or IVR, or USSD. Yes, smartphone, apps, and NFC are all for the more elite, the 20% of data users out of the 300 million, or the rich data users. Like all of us here, maybe. I'm not. I'm plugged into that rapid mass payment model. Unless you can offer that kind of service at a very base level, you will not be able to electronify the country, regardless of how many sessions and panel discussions we have. Number one. And number two, maybe the payment banks with the partnership with telcos and other service providers, integrators, tech companies may help, but the business model out there is still, the jury is out on that, what will happen. Will they take 8 or 9 years to break even? Will they have to spend 6, 7, 800,000 crores to break even? What is the business model? Is there money at the end of that tunnel? These questions are not answered. My guess is some will survive, some will create a business model which will help them to make money. So I think cashless is great. We have to strive towards that. And at the same time, just innovation for the sake of innovation may or may not lead to that. It's also a question of mindset and behavior, and taking things down to the base level, absolute base level. Only then can the country change. Only then can we reduce this 88% to much lesser. But I don't see that changing, and we only catering to a small segment on the top and thinking that is what is changing the economy. I don't think that is purpose going to change it.
Thank you, Prabir. I really appreciate views from the panel members here. And
I'll just want to add one bit to Mr. Roy. I think going forward, the field will be open to that particular company who can just perfectly create a universal mode of payment wherein each and every merchant is accepting that payment. Probably a smartphone user is able to make a payment, a basic phone user is able to make the payment. The company which does that universal mode of payment fastest, I think will nail it all to begin with.
So all I wanted to highlight is we are open to questions, and with the paucity of time, feel free to ask as many questions, and it is just restrict us to talk about, share more views at this point of time. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. So my name is Pushpendra. I too have some stats. Sir, we have 1,15,000 of bank branches. We have 1,60,000 ATMs, and 1,40,000 of business correspondents, which reach to the 72 millions of households. And it means we have well-defined structure. We have well-defined structure. We are not penetrating, but still we are not penetrating to the bottom 30% of the population because they won't believe on the technologies and then how to convince that persons to invest or to go through the technologies or to go to the mobile payments ban?
Your question is quite relevant, and as Prabir just mentioned, perception is a battle which will take its sweet course of time to reach that mass. Presently, we've seen banks, telcos, financial service providers, we've got the three set of people here, equipment manufacturers. The steps to build and make it happen is happening at a very good pace. The adoption will take some years, more years, but we are in the right direction. That's what I could say. There are definitely views which we will ask the panel members to highlight what kind of activities they think they should contribute to make it happen rapidly. Shikhar, you want to share something?
Just add to that.
Okay, go ahead.
There are companies and government. Government has imposed companies to do, as Mr. Shastri has said, there is something called MRO, minimum regulatory obligations. So if a telco company wants to run his company across the India, he has to cater to certain rural markets where penetration is not there, and that is there in couple of 28% of the rural market of that state, which is a very high number. That has already started getting implemented by each telcos, point one. A similar rule, I'm not knowing the number of percentage, for banking also, Indian banks have already started. If you go to rural market of India, you would definitely see at least 2 to 3 big banks. I will not name those banks, but they have already started opening their branches as well as their ATMs. So they are forced to do, and eventually the economy of rural India has already growing in double fold in compared to the urban and city area. If you see the growth of last 3 years, that area, rural area versus urban, is having 50% of the ratio change, and there is already a growth, and yet companies and organizations are forced, and also companies and organizations are looking at a big chunk of revenue from those markets. So a big work is already happening, is already under process, and you can say it is WIP, work in progress.
Thanks, Suhas.
Just want to add to
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
actually. Again, the model is the traditional model is that how do we have more financial inclusion and more cash, less cash? Let's have more ATMs and more POS machines. But that model is broke. Let me be very candid, and you guys should know this. You cannot scale that model because economics don't sustain it. And all my esteemed panelists would be able to share that economics with you. So that model is not going to make us reach out to more people. Maybe neither is what my colleague said is this minimal regulatory obligation. This is all nonsense. Because once you start stipulating those, the companies have to run uneconomic areas. Same thing has happened in airlines. Same thing is happening in airlines. You don't, then you make the system, you don't let the company become minimally viable in a short period of time. You put onuses on them. You cannot run something like putting regulatory oversight or regulatory obligations. You have to allow innovation to come in. So here's one idea of innovation. And Aditya will be able to relate to that. Somehow we seem to be aligned, though we compete in some ways. Now, NPCI has got this RuPay card, which you must have heard about. Correct. वो तो 180 million RuPay cards निकाल दिया उधर. लेकिन the acceptance points of RuPay card is very minimal. So the CMD and Nandan Nilekani have been having this exchange, and we've been chatting with them and saying, how do we make RuPay cards acceptance high? Everybody's got a Visa or a MasterCard or an Amex. RuPay वो डब्बा उसके पास नहीं है. RuPay acceptance भी कम है shops and establishments में. So I said, if you keep going down this path, you're not going to make any penetration. I said, you flip everything. Match every RuPay card to a digital wallet against a unique field or a unique identifier like Aadhaar or something. Now you have a wallet, I have a wallet, you're a merchant, I want to buy something from you, and I use my wallet to redeem. So my RuPay is being redeemed at you without any POS or ATM or transaction or movement of cash. So everybody's going on this traditional way. Arey, how do I get boxes out to the streets and make more people enroll? And I'm saying don't do it that way. Map every rupee to a digital wallet. And that means a merchant will have a digital wallet, a panwala will have a digital wallet, a taxi driver will have a digital wallet. The guy who sells cigarettes out of your campus will have a digital wallet. You will have a digital wallet. A rupee digital wallet. You go there and you redeem. End of matter.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Prabir. I think, I don't know whether how many of you know, Prabir was one of the pioneers when they started this on the payment. So all his first-hand experience. I've been listening to you, Prabir, many times on the topic. I really appreciate your depth because you talk from the experience of the first-hand along with that. Let me another perspective on the point that raised by our friend out there. I mean, you picked up some numbers along with that, right? The number of banks, number of correspondent banks, point of sales along with that. Let me throw some other alternate numbers on this. You know, if you see the mobile operators all put together, you know, they have a recharged points of about 600,000 points, and they cater to about 700 million users who are paying for recharge physically at all over the places, right? So the question right now is that if you want to really increase the adoption, there are many kind of ways because there are many kind of things have been tested. I was in Philippines, Gcash guys. They said it took us 10 years to hit the right kind of a chord for us to get at least a few critical mass transactions. And they hit upon SME salaries as a part which actually taken off some good numbers along with that. But on a larger perspective, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I call from the innovation or the disruptions kind of a basis along with that. The most important thing when you kind of reach to those kind of users, you have all challenges, regulatory, physical, mindsets, behaviors, all of there. I think one of the kind of key challenges we need to come across is how do we give the value creation for that? You know, unless you give a value for them, you know, you may, no matter how much time you give it free for them, at the end of it, he has to see a value. I think as a kind of a ecosystem, we have not yet reached to that stage where we give value to all this, all these people in the ecosystem. I mean, that example he has given, the Clear Trip and Book My Show, you know, they started free, but today I see the value. I mean, you give the free and bring him to a kind of a mindset of a real value because today I have to go for a Clear Trip to do any alternate methods. I rather pay a convenience fee on that, and it's really convenience fee because it's adding value to me to my productivity. So how do we kind of reach to that? If you are kind of reaching to that bottom of the pyramid side, it's an entirely different case. So there are many ways that's been available. So guys, like for us, need to kind of figure out a way. How do we kind of drive that value? And that's going to be kind of a stuff, but it's happening in the e-commerce industry and the kind of wallets where they are kind of driving a kind of a subsidy with whatever the kind of investment money. But the point is that it's more for communicating and getting them the real experience of that value. When you start charging and monetizing them, probably at that time they're kind of we might overplay. In many other cases, people kind of claim that it's an overplay. But this is an ecosystem on which we kind of trying to build on it. And it's no copying of a Western model. We need to figure out our own Indian model, our own Indian kind of stuff along with it. So that's my kind of a thing. The other challenges that's been coming up is this. We need to, you're Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, I really salute for this institute to have it. And how many of you really know, you must be thinking there's a Sanskrit word, but it has a deep impact on all of our lives. It says that each one has a strength, and how do we use that strength in a synergistic way? Today, banks, even the operators, each one has a strength. We are not figured out how do we kind of seamlessly work as a Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. Take a kind of what strengths you have and bring it above that. See, one of the kind of discussion I had with mobile operators some time back was that you know more mobile operators, you know more technology guys. Your core strength, you are that, you have technology and all, but your core strength is you have a much bigger channel of network. Even FMCG company do not have what you have, because in a remote village, I can pay a 10 rupee and I'm using a service. So you are no more a kind of a network operators of you are a FMCS, I call it, fast moving consumer services. The goods can be sold at 1 rupee, shampoo can be sold in a remote village. You people have moved over to that. That is a strength which they themselves have said that not yet been kind of a fully accepted to, and that can be used. But then we have regulations, we have a stuff, but we have to play. And this is where the passion of entrepreneurship with the pragmatism, I mean, the Prabh's pragmatism, these are real problems to be solved. And you really need a real passion for that. And it's not something that's going to be wished away from there. But look at this. Just to kind of throw some numbers. India is at a $1 trillion GDP. China is at $10 trillion. You know, people feel that we have a potential to reach $3 trillion in about 4 to 5 years' time. And some optimists have much more number along with that. But how do we do that? With the old mindsets? With the new kind of stuff along with that? And you know, look at the students here. I kind of, you know, 1 minute I take extra on this stuff, you know, for the students part of it. Just away from the topic. I was watching television sometime back. A billionaire from India was on a TV giving interview. So he said, you know, the interviewer asked, "You're so successful. You have money. You have this and this and this. If one wish you want in your life, what that could be?" It's a very amazing answer. You know, he said that I'm 52, 53-year-old. And if I want one wish, I want to be a 25-year-old. And she said, why? Because now India is going to go through tremendous amount of progress. There's some tremendous amount of action going to happen. There's a lot. I want to be a part of that. Do you know how it is relevant for you guys? What a biggest billionaire and a successful guy do not have, you guys have it. You have the age, you have the passion, and you have the great opportunity in front of you. Guys, get up and take the things in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Due to a time constraint, the rest of the questions will be taken offline. Thank you, dear panel.
Question. He stood up for a rush. Go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. My question is, as we heard some statistics like there are limited number of bank accounts. What I know is 310 million bank accounts are there in India. And as you said, 125 million mobile wallets. But what I understand is you can transfer money from your bank account to a mobile wallet. We cannot directly put cash into a mobile wallet by just giving money because there are no particular infrastructure for that. So isn't it that they go hand in hand, and what if 310 is saturated? Like after a mobile wallet reaches 310 or let's say 350, what after that? Like people will have to create more bank accounts, or how is it going to progress?
Aditya, you want to answer that?
Yeah. So one thing, probably things are unfolding at a very high pace. Various wallet companies, they are now starting POS transactions, point of sale, wherein you can just walk on to any shop nearby and just say that recharge my wallet for 100 rupees, like you do a prepaid recharge for your phone. So it will be that simple. So you can just put money into your wallet, not through an online mode, through an offline mode. And we are even going to the offline payment bit of it. And next thing, like I appreciate the numbers which you have taken there. So there's one thing that one study says that there will be 314 million mobile internet users by 2017 in India. Currently 125 million wallets. So there's a very good headroom there to actually increase to that bit. Yesterday I was hearing out the TRI representative, and she mentioned a very good pointer. There are 41% households in India who don't have a bank account. So there lies an opportunity. I think I'm probably thinking as I'm speaking, there might be a case wherein in next 10 years we not have one bank account per person in India, but there is a very high possibility we might have one mobile number per person in India. So that is the potential that a wallet or probably a unique identifier number can actually take in that financial space.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Meg. Yeah, Prabir has a view to make.
I think one clarification, you can actually load up your wallet at a physical load point if you have such a network or infrastructure. Like it could be Suvidha as mobile stores, or that's one. Secondly is, not all wallets have to have an account in the bank. Just remember that. So you may have an account to wallet right now, and maybe wallet to account. At some point of time, and Aditya is, those guys are driving that, not all wallet owners need not have an account in the bank, but the wallet will be a store of value for him in some ways. Therefore, things like prepaid issuers and payment banks are facilitating that you have a wallet, and I don't need to see the face of a bank, but I can get the somewhat similar kind of functionalities.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, dear panel members, for such a lively and insightful discussion. I now invite my colleagues to felicitate our esteemed dignitaries with mementos as a token of our gratitude.
We thank our panel members for joining us and would now request them to kindly take their seat among